When the billionaire tycoon spotted a small hand holding onto the bars of a cage and waving for help, he knew he had to intervene immediately. But when he got closer and saw what was really going on, his blood boiled. "How could anyone treat a child this way?" he exclaimed. He walked up to the cage and asked the little girl, "What are you doing in there?" She looked up at him with tears in her eyes and replied, "I'm waiting for someone to buy me." The man couldn't believe his ears. How could someone sell a child like she was just a product on a shelf? As he looked around, he noticed that the girl wasn't the only one who was caged up. There were several other children in similar situations, all of them hoping to be chosen by a potential buyer. But he wasn't going to let that happen today. With a firm voice, he told the little girl, "Don't worry, my dear, I'll buy you, and no one will ever hurt you again." The girl's face lit up with gratitude as she finally felt a glimmer of hope in her desperate situation. He approached the old man who was sitting next to the cages and demanded an explanation. But instead of remorse, the man glared angrily at the tycoon and spat on the ground. "What business is it of yours? Stranger, these children are for sale, and if you don't like it, leave." The tycoon was shocked by the man's audacity. How could he be so heartless and unapologetic about what he was doing? It was clear that this man had no regard for human life and would stop at nothing to make a profit. The tycoon was going to stand by and watch as these innocent children were sold off to who knows where. The tycoon, filled with determination, knew he had to take drastic measures to save these children from their grim fate. On the other end of the line was his lawyer, who he instructed to do whatever it took to get him the ownership papers for the building where the cages were kept. He needed to act fast before the old man could do any more harm. As the lawyer got to work, the tycoon turned back to the old man and said, "You won't be able to hide for long. Soon enough, I'll have everything I need to shut down your operation and bring you to justice." The old man just laughed in response, thinking that the tycoon was bluffing, but he didn't know what was in store for him. Meanwhile, the tycoon's lawyer was making quick progress. Within minutes, he had the ownership papers in his hands and he handed them over to the tycoon. The tycoon took a look and found that the building was registered under a different name, making it harder to trace back to the old man. But he wasn't worried. He knew there were ways to find out who was behind it. The tycoon then turned to the crowd of onlookers and asked for someone to call the police. As the crowd dispersed, he approached the cages and started talking to the children, trying to comfort them and reassure them that they were going to be okay. Some of the children clung onto the bars, too scared to come out, while others hesitantly stepped out. Still wary of the situation, the tycoon patiently coaxed them out, promising them that they were safe now. With the children out of the cages, the tycoon approached the old man once again. "It's over," he declared. The old man's face drained of color as he realized that his time was running out. The tycoon held up the ownership papers and said, "This building is now mine, and I want you out of here right now." The old man didn't resist. He knew that the game was up, and he was defeated. As the police arrived, the crowd started to grow restless. They wanted answers, and they wanted them now. The tycoon knew he had to step up and explain the situation to them. "I found these poor children trapped in cages like animals, and I couldn't stand by and watch. This is why I bought the building, so that we can find the owner and put an end to this. And as you can see, the police are now here to investigate further." The crowd nodded in understanding. They couldn't believe that such a thing could happen in broad daylight, and yet they had intervened earlier. While the police were questioning the old man, the tycoon took it upon himself to care for the children. He made sure they were clean and fed, and most importantly, he listened to their stories. Each child had a different tale to tell, but they all had one common thread, a desperate plea for a better life. One little girl shared her story with him. She told him how her parents had sold her to the old man for money. "I was just a baby when it happened," she whispered, "and I don't remember much. But I do remember the pain in my mother's eyes as she hugged me goodbye." The tycoon felt a surge of anger course through him as he heard her story. How could anyone, especially a parent, do this to a child? He vowed to himself that he would do everything in his power to protect these children and ensure that they never had to endure such trauma again. After the police had taken the old man away, the tycoon gathered the children close to him and said, "From now on, you don't have to worry about anything. You are safe with me. I promise you that." The children looked up at him with gratitude in their eyes, knowing that they had been saved from a terrible fate. The next morning, the news of the tycoon's heroic deeds spread like wildfire. People were applauding him for his bravery and selflessness, but he wasn't interested in the fame. All that mattered to him was the safety and well-being of the children. He made sure to visit them regularly, bringing them toys and books and anything else that would make their lives a little better. As the days turned into weeks, the tycoon worked tirelessly to find permanent homes for the children. He contacted social workers and child psychologists who helped the children cope with their traumatic past. The tycoon's generosity knew no bounds, as he paid for the children's therapy and education, ensuring that they had every opportunity to lead happy and fulfilling lives. One day, while visiting the children's home, the tycoon came across a little boy who was sitting quietly in a corner. He approached the boy and asked if everything was all right. The boy looked up with tearful eyes and asked, "Will I ever see my parents again?" The tycoon knelt down and said, "Sometimes it's better not to have parents who are willing to sell their own child." The boy nodded slowly, still sad, but comforted by the tycoon's kind words. As the years passed, the children thrived under the tycoon's care. They grew up to be successful individuals, giving back to society in their own unique ways. The tycoon couldn't have asked for a more rewarding endeavor. Looking at the bright, happy faces of the children he had saved, he knew that his actions had made a lasting impact on their lives. One sunny afternoon, the tycoon decided to visit the old man in prison. He wanted to see if the man had shown any remorse for his actions. To his surprise, the old man looked different. He was frail and weak, and there was a haunted look in his eyes. "I've been thinking," the old man started, his voice shaking, "and I can't help but wonder if you could forgive me. I know I don't deserve it, but I'd like to apologize for what I did. Those children were innocent, and I treated them like they were trash. It was wrong of me, and I'm sorry." The tycoon stared at the old man for a moment, contemplating his words. He knew that the old man wouldn't change, but he also understood that everyone deserved a chance at redemption. "I forgive you," he said quietly, surprising both himself and the old man. The old man's face broke into tears, and he thanked the tycoon for his forgiveness. As the tycoon left the prison, he felt a sense of closure. He had brought an end to the old man's wicked scheme and given the children a chance at a better life. Most importantly, he had found it in his heart to forgive. The sun shone brightly outside, symbolizing the hope and happiness that awaited the children he had saved. From that day on, the tycoon continued his philanthropic work, dedicating his time and resources to making the world a better place.